Mr. Hernandez, as I previously indicated, you may address the court if you wish. This is known as the right of allocution, which permits you to make a statement on your own behalf or presenting information and mitigation of the punishment for the offense. Do you wish to make a statement to the court?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, at this time you can make your statement, Mr. Hernandez.
I realize that today is not a court date for me, but it's a court date for Ari. It's for justice for Ari. I gotta pay for what I did. And I want to say that I'm deeply sorry to Ari for taking away to her. Nobody really knows how much I do regret my actions and decisions. I miss her every single day. And I hope one day she can forgive me. She was a wonderful mother, sister, daughter, and spouse. She valued her kids most because growing up, Ari had no mom or dad. No matter what anyone said, she fought the battle with me of addiction in hopes of one day I'd change and leave it in the past. I won't forget her hard dedication to all 4 of her kids. Everything she did to make sure their dads were bad. I won't forget her beautiful smile, laughter, our good times, the times you waited outside of your rehab for me to finish with classes. How you taught me how to live a normal life and hold myself accountable. I miss your hugs and kisses. How you would show up with all the kids to the job site and bring me food. I'm sorry to all 4 of our kids. I took your beautiful mom away. They're not here mamas. She would be proud of you too, on how you shared your feelings and stood by her. I'm so sorry. I hope one day you two can forgive me. I love you guys. To my silly boy, in my circa party, I know I took mom and dad away. And I'm very sorry I put you guys in a spot you don't want to be in. I worry about you guys daily. I wish I could have gone to help with my addiction. I should have listened to your mom, Ari, and realized that all 4 of you cared for mom and me. I remember your mom saying, we got no friends in life. My friends and family are my kids and you. I'm sorry to Ari's family, especially to her brother Shoop and Larry, her sister Nina. She loved you guys so much. Growing up, you guys, that's all she had. I remember the story she told me about you guys. The Bronco, everything. Oh. I'm sorry to my family, to my parents, Bilal and George, my siblings, Karina, Vanessa, and Junior. I know Ari held a special spot in your heart. But the last person I'd like to plead with is with Ari's mom, Maria. I want you to know that all 4 kids are experiencing the most hurt, not just Sid, Denzel, and you. In reading your statement, it would have hurt Ari. What you said about my parents, they just want to help you. They don't want to take those kids away. They love those kids too. So again, Denzel have lost both parents. I hope one day you really open up your heart to my kids and family. If you true motivation are my kids, I plead with you to allow my family to help you with my kids. 2 wrongs don't make a right. My family wants to help only, and they have. Hate me all you want. But show my kids love, no more trauma, please. I take accountability for my actions. My kids and family have no fault for what I've done. I hope one day you do see my remorse. I love and miss Ari, my kids, all 4 of you. I hope you're resting, Ari, my chipmunk guys. I love your justice for Ari.
Mr. Hernandez, thank you for your comments to the court. I'll consider those in sentencing. Mr. Hernandez, are you fully satisfied with the representation you've received from your attorney in this case?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Wood, is there any legal reason why I should not sentence the defendant at this time in the state's aware of?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Archibald, any legal reason why the defendant should not be sentenced at this time?
No.
All right, thank you. The court's going to pronounce sentence at this time based on your plea of guilt on the plea agreement and a change of plea hearing. Mr. Hernandez, the court finds that you are guilty of the offense of murder in the second degree in violation of Idaho Code 18-4003G. In considering sentence, the court looks at a variety of factors, including first your criminal history that's contained in the pre-sentence investigation report, and that recommends, quote, medically monitored non-residential services for any mental health needs. In addition, the court has to consider not only that information I reviewed in the report, consider the statements made here today, the evidence presented in the publication of the 911 call, statements of victims who made impact statements, and it also considered those previously referenced letters of support and recommendation from your family, and of course, her comments to the court as well, Mr. Hernandez. The main factors the court considers in sentencing are out of a case State versus Toohill, 103 Idaho 565, and also codified in statute 1925-21, protection of society, the primary objective, deterrence of the individual and the public generally, possibility of rehabilitation, and punishment or retribution for wrongdoing. 1925-21 also contains additional things the court needs to consider, and obviously in a homicide case such as this second-degree murder conviction, the court has to look at some additional factors that are set forth in that statute. Would a lesser sentence depreciate the seriousness of the defendant's crime? And that's a big factor. In this case, the court also looks at those factors under the statute. Would imprisonment provide appropriate punishment and deterrent to the defendant? Does imprisonment provide an appropriate deterrent for other persons in the community? And is the defendant a multiple offender or professional criminal? The court also considers mitigation factors, and those are set forth in the statute also and have been referenced here today. I'll note additionally, I mentioned your age, 33 years old, the LSI score, which purports to determine whether someone is likely to reoffend, places you in the high-risk category with a score of 32 on the LSI. Beginning in this case with what occurred, there's no factual dispute of what happened here. Mr. Hernandez, when you killed Ariana, you remained there. You essentially turned yourself into law enforcement. You came before the court. You were charged. You reached a plea agreement. And I will note that this case has progressed and proceeded about as quickly procedurally as a murder case could. And a lot of that is due to your acceptance of responsibility. You, I believe, are sincerely remorseful. You did not want to further traumatize these children who were present by requiring contested hearings, including a preliminary hearing, a trial, or other hearings. And I've seen you in court many times. You've always been respectful of the court. You've always really shown genuine and true remorse. You've got people who are around you, who support you, and it just makes the case all that much sadder that I think, other than what happens when you are using controlled substances, you're a good, productive member of society, and you have a good relationship with a good person. this incident then, in terms of the aggravating factors, the 911 call, clearly it's traumatic to listen to that. The fact that you killed her with children there present is very aggravating to the court. The fact that you fired multiple rounds ensuring her death. I am disturbed by the fact that as a convicted felon, you didn't even have the right to possess a firearm. You had no legal right to even have a gun. And yet, you had a gun. You went and got a gun, you kept a gun, you kept it loaded, you kept it at the ready. You weren't ever supposed to have one. You had opportunities on probation after doing riders. You failed to follow the law. You continued using meth, which is continued felony behavior whenever you're possessing meth or buying meth or using meth. In terms of your supervision, you earned yourself a lower amount of supervision and then said in your comments basically you were kind of living a double life because they weren't checking up on you that much and you got back into your meth addiction and ultimately got released from probation. And then when that became a serious concern and problem, you got in an argument with Ariana and you went and got that gun that you had no legal right to own and you killed her in cold blood with children there present. So the aggravating factors really weigh heavily here for the court to consider that, and they far outweigh the mitigation, because while I think you've done everything you can do since this happened, what you did do can't be forgiven, can't be reversed. She can't be brought back. These children don't have a mother. And all of that leads the court to really seriously consider the recommendations of the state in terms of a life sentence here. And on the other hand, I'll note that through a mediation process, the state was willing to reach an agreement where you pled guilty to second-degree murder. This was an event. Mr. Archibald says he considers it a manslaughter-type behavior, but I think it was a killing in the heat of passion, but it was beyond manslaughter because you took the steps and effort to go get that deadly weapon, which again, you should never have even had possession of, and it was there at the ready, and that's why she's dead. Your decisions, not just what happened in the argument, but to obtain that firearm in violation of the law that you knew well, and that provided the means for this murder. So upon all those considerations, when I weigh those factors out, the court determines that, as mentioned by the pre-sentence investigator and recommended by the state, a lengthy term of incarceration is most appropriate in this case. And it's unfortunate, Mr. Hernandez, because you are a pretty young man, and I think you had much ahead of you to offer to yourself and society, but given the sentence you're about to receive, you've lost everything. And the court is going to sentence you to a fixed minimum term, 35 years of incarceration, followed by an indeterminate term of life, for a total unified sentence of life. And the nature of that, the court is not going to impose a fine, but the court will impose the civil penalty under the statute 1953-07, which I believe is in the amount of $5,000. Court costs are assessed. I don't believe the state has made a restitution request. If there is a restitution request, advise the court, Mr. Wood. You are given credit for time served since your arrest on this case. The court's not going to impose any other financial obligation in terms of any other fines or costs. That is going to be the court's judgment on the sentence. Mr. Wood, do you have any questions, and or is the state requesting any restitution in the case?
Your Honor, no need of restitution. The state would have requested was for some lab tests. Given the length of the sentence, I don't think it's necessary to request that. They're small amounts, so we will not be requesting any restitution.
All right. Mr. Archibald, do you have any questions about the sentence?
No.
All right. Mr. Hernandez, any questions from you?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Hernandez, I want to advise you of some very important rights. You have the right to appeal from this sentence. If you believe it's in error, you would only have 42 days to file that appeal, and Mr. Archibald can advise you further of that right. You also have a right to seek relief from this judgment under Idaho Criminal Rule 35. You have 120 days from today to file that motion for reduction or correction of the sentence if you believe the sentence is illegal or too harsh. You also may have rights under the Idaho Uniform Post-Conviction Relief Act. Such an action must be filed within 1 year from the day your right to appear expires. Those are your appellate rights. The court will require the defendant to submit to a DNA sample by right thumbprint if that's not already in the records of IDOC. Mr. Archibald, do you wish to retain the copy of your PSI at this point?
Yes.
All right. If the state and defense wish to retain the PSI for any potential future pleadings, I'll permit you to do that. Keep those held in confidence, and at some point the court will collect those. Mr. Hernandez, you're hereby remanded to the custody of the Sheriff of Madison County to be delivered to the authorities of the Idaho Department of Corrections for execution of this sentence. That will conclude the sentencing hearing. I do appreciate the attendance and the way everyone's comported themselves during this hearing. We'll be in recess.